What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Elliot here with another Alien Romulus video. We are here talking about my personal ranking of the franchise. Now, I have a lot of Alien content on the channel now. Spoiler-free review of the film, spoiler breakdown of the film, talking about the ending, what's going to happen next in the franchise with the TV show, and the continuation of Andy and Ray's story. So check out all that content. I'll leave it in the description of this video. But this video is ranking all 9 movies, including the Alien versus Predator films in today's video. But before we get into my ranking, let me know your list. Least favorite, worst movie, mid movies, great movies, favorite movies. Let me know your ranking in the comments below. With that being said, let's talk about my number 9 film in the franchise, and that is Alien versus Predator Requiem. I gotta say, this is the worst one for me because, listen, on paper, the film sounds good, right? It's following up on the aftermath of the ending of Alien vs. Predator with the Predator Alien amalgamation, and it goes to that small town. Like, on paper, it sounds like a pretty cool movie, but fortunately, it is just extremely poorly executed. Like, number one, from like a visual presentation, like all the Alien and Predator movies, especially the Alien movies, they're like beautifully shot, really well choreographed as far as like the cinematography, sound design, like all that stuff is great. The production on this film is horrendous. Like, number one, it's like almost impossible to see what is going on screen. And I've seen it on, television screen, different television screens, HD, 4K, UHD, you name it. It looks bad. So it's like, from a visual standpoint, it is a bad looking film, and it is just poorly executed overall. So that is Alien Requiem. Alien versus Predator Requiem is my least favorite film in the entire franchise, which leads into my number 8, which is Alien versus Predator. Now, again, I was a little bit late to the party on seeing this movie, but listen, cool action sequences, cut your brain off. It's all fan fiction, Freddy versus Jason, Ash versus Michael Myers, you name it. Fantasy type of characters finally coming together. 2 franchises that I'm a big fan of. But when I was younger, I thought, oh, this is cool. But as I got older, it's like, it's still cool. Like, I will not lie. The action sequences and how it ends is interesting, and it has some moments. But story, characters, the setup, it's just to me, it's a mixture of bad acting, bad writing, and just a very mid movie, to say the least. So that is my number 8, and that is Alien versus Predator. Transitioning into my number 7, which I know is kind of it's higher on some people's lists, and it's a little bit lower than mine, but at number 7, I'm going Alien 3. If you don't know, this film was bogged down by a ton of behind the scenes issues. Like, I don't even think they had a script when they were shooting this movie for most of the shooting. But it is David Fincher. Which is crazy. This is his first feature film. Obviously, he's one of the best directors, in my opinion, my humble opinion. I think he's a fantastic director, very meticulous, very detailed, and you can see those David Fincher isms in this movie. Like, I think it looks good. I thought it was well made as far as like from that directorial debut type of standpoint. Like, it's a really well made movie. And listen, from all the behind the scenes issues, from studio interference and him being like a hired gun, it could have been a lot worse. I will say that. Again, it's Fincher, so at least it looks good from that point. And it's an interesting concept and prospect of where we see Ripley, where they are with the whole prison location, all that stuff. Like, it's an interesting concept. Like, again, on paper, it's interesting. My issue with this movie is I will never forgive the opening sequence, which I know a lot of people like myself hated, which is the killing of Newt and Hicks, right? Like, it literally eliminates the victories that we got from Aliens, which obviously will be coming up on my list pretty soon. But I hated the opening, man. I really hated it. Like, I understand you want to be new and innovative and fresh and like let people know this is my Alien film. And I'm not talking about David Fincher. Maybe it was his decision, maybe it was the studio's decision, but I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And that's why, kind of on the side tangent, I always want to see Neil Blomkamp's film, because it was going to retcon that and bring back an older Newt passing, Ridley passing torch to her, and Bishop being back and Hicks being back. So yeah, that's an unforgivable thing for me. And that's why Aliens 3 is coming in at my number 7. Moving on to my number 6, and that is Alien Resurrection. Now, this has the interesting concepts. It has a look and a feel of Alien. It has like an amalgamation of the horror elements and the action elements, and it has interesting ideas. But again, it comes down to execution with me in these the 6 through 9, and the execution to me was pretty poor, especially just the cloning concept wasn't explored enough. The whole queen alien and having Ridley playing basketball, it was just so weird to me. And speaking of weird, it's just a weird movie, especially that ending. Like I'm just not a fan of the ending and just how weird it is. And we've never really. I don't know if we'll ever see the continuation of that. Like obviously Ripley and Ryder's character, they survive and they make it to Earth, but not a fan. Not a fan of that ending. It's just weird. Again, just not for me. But anyway, moving on into my top 5 category. We're at number 5, and this might be a hot take, but I'm a fan of the prequels, and that is coming in number 5 is Alien Covenant for me. This is the follow-up sequel to Prometheus, which I haven't said yet, so it's obviously coming up pretty soon. But this to me had the Ridley Scott coming back. This is him going back to the well of like Alien. It's a horror film first, and then it's an action film second. And when it's in that horror vibe, it's bloody, it's gory, it's some really good messed up scenes from a horror fan. I love the body horror. I love the scene where we get the xenomorph coming out of the guy's back, and it's just the creature that's created by David is just really, really awesome. And speaking of David, he's the best character in that film. Like David, Michael Fassbender is great, and in the ending cliffhanger, we don't know where it's going, but I do love those elements. But unfortunately, it being the sequel to Prometheus was kind of the convoluted, complicated, underdeveloped side of the story. So again, I love the horror. I love David. I like how it ends. I love the visual. It's a visually stunning film. It's just convoluted and complicated and not fleshed out and developed enough for it to be a sequel to Prometheus, which, speaking of Prometheus, coming in at number 4, I am a Prometheus fan, man. It's a lot of ideas. It's a lot of concepts, a lot of mythology it can be rough to kind of digest, but I just think from a visual standpoint, storytelling standpoint, it is just so well made. It's my favorite looking alien film in the franchise. Like I love the look and the feel and the vibe and the aesthetic and the score that we have with Prometheus. And I like the cast, really big cast. I think it's probably the biggest star-studded cast, Charlize Theron, Idris Elba, Naomi Rapace, who I'm a big Shaw fan, Michael Fassbender, who I'm a big fan of, is David. So I like the cast. I like the swings that it takes and, explaining the lore and mythology of the creators and the engineers and obviously the Prometheus being an alien and explaining that whole story. But again, it is complicated and it does kind of, again, take swings, but it's just not fully there. Like, again, that's why Covenant, and it was supposed to be another film, but he never got the opportunity because Covenant did not do well at the box office. But again, I'm a Prometheus fan. I like what he was trying to do, even though it wasn't fully realized. But speaking of fully realized, we are now in the future. It's 2024. Got a full breakdown, review, spoiler discussion. And coming in number 3 is Alien Romulus. Definitely a lot to love in the film from my perspective, including that awesome third act, which is Fede Alvarez just letting loose and just kind of really does a good job of capturing the spirit of Alien and Aliens, which we obviously know from a timeline perspective, that's where the story takes place, is a lot to love. Rain, David, some of the visuals are amazing. Score, sound design. Behind Prometheus is probably my favorite looking alien film. Fortunately, not a lot of originality, a lot of rehashing, a lot of remixing scenes, and I'm being a big fan of Fede. And again, he's in that third act, but I just wish that he was in the rest of the film, the first and second act. So didn't really care for the lack of originality, but also I didn't really care for the characters. Besides Rain and David, Tyler and Navarro and Kay and Braun, very forgettable. Didn't really care for them, and it took away from my enjoyment of the film because I love a good cast with these alien films. You want to care for the characters. They want to have charm and charisma. That supporting cast didn't have any of that. So number 3 is Alien Romulus, which leads us into my final 2. And honestly, I can interchange these any day of the week because these are just excellent films. But today, what I'm feeling like, my number 2, Aliens, 1986, James Cameron sequel. Aliens is one of my favorite sequels of all time. I think it's one of the best handoffs from, a horror film from Ridley Scott to an action film from James Cameron. Like that handoff. I don't think we'll ever see something that good again unless we have I don't know, Christopher Nolan directs one film and Denis Villeneuve comes in to direct another one, just changes the vibe of the film. But what a great action film. It has my favorite cast. Ridley obviously is iconic, like GOAT. Hicks and the whole military crew and Bill Paxton and Newt and the story of I love the relationship between Newt and Ridley. I love Bishop. It's just such a fantastic film. And it's like I said, it's my favorite cast of the entire series. Like I love that movie so much. It's just a perfect action film and a great sequel to a fantastic film, which is my number one, which are guys, like I said, it's interchangeable, but today I'm feeling like my number one is 1979 Ridley Scott horror movie, Alien. Where do I start? I mean, it's the blueprint. It is the blueprint to having a great, simple story, which one and two are very simple. A lot of the films in this franchise is simple, but this is a simple, straightforward story. Great characters, building up with the characters, great tension. Like the tension in this film was felt. It's an incredible science fiction horror film with, like I said, great suspense, great tension, great characters, simple story, get straight to the point, and it's a game changer. It's an absolute game changer. It's the blueprint for a lot of space horror film, science fiction, and blending the two genres. It's a perfect movie. It is a perfect movie, man. So that's why, like I said, Alien and Aliens can go back and forth to me. But today it's feeling like Alien 1979 is my favorite film of the franchise. But hey, that's my 1 through 9. My least favorite to my favorite. It is now your turn to share yours in the comments. How would you rank them? Talk about your standout moments. Again, I have another video talking about what next in the franchise from the TV show perspective and maybe a film that could or could not happen. But let's talk about it all in the comments below. Thank you all for watching this video. Like, share, comment, and consider sticking around and subscribing to the channel. Check out all my Alien Romulus content. You all are awesome, and I'll catch you all on the next breakdown.